So I'm joined by James, CTO at Sunstar Media, to talk about leveraging ColdFusion with command line tools for more powerful applications. Welcome, James.
Thank you.
So, why do you compare ColdFusion and command line tools to peanut butter and jelly?
Well, I've been working with computers since 1984. Started with a Commodore 64, and interestingly enough, started working with the command line before I started working with ColdFusion. ColdFusion embraced that in 1997, and ColdFusion does a lot of great stuff, but the command line offers a lot too. In fact, there's a lot of crossover in terms of functionality, but there's a lot of things that the command line gives me that I just can't really leverage well in ColdFusion. The features are there, but they're the default features, and I want more options, I want more speed, I want more quality, and I got to drop down to the command line for a lot of that.
Okay, and what are some real world examples where CFExecute have been most effective?
Well, we do a lot of real estate websites, and with that, they'll upload photos. And one of the reasons we switched to the command line for some of the processing was it was taking 5 to 8 seconds per photo. And when you're uploading 10 photos, your user is waiting a lot.
Right.
We switched over to CFExecute after reading an article about Etsy and how they were using it to optimize all of their millions of images. We're totally impressed, added it to our stack, if you will, and it was so fast that we had clients calling us questioning whether their images were even uploaded. It was so fast that, seriously, people thought it was broken, and the images were there, the images were high quality, and we use CFExecute to this day. I love that it hasn't changed, but it also works with more image formats, because we've had issues with iPhone images from the iPhone 4, and I would say, ColdFusion is image file, and it would say yes, and I'm like, okay, great, let's crop this, let's shrink this, and it would say it's not an image. CFExecute didn't care, it just worked, and I like things that just work.
Nice. And how can delegating tasks to command line tools reduce server strain?
Well, we're doing chunking uploads for another client. They have HEIC images. Those are big images to begin with. They put them all into a zip file, which only makes that zip file even more bigger.
Right.
So we're using ColdFusion to upload files that are probably over a gig in terms of file size. But then what do we do with them? Well, I thought they were downloading them and then deleting them from the server. But I found out when our hard drive space became like really small that they weren't doing anything. We had to come up with a solution.
Okay.
Our solution was to move them over to Wasabi, which is slightly cheaper, less expensive than Amazon S3. But with that, how do you move those files from your server to Wasabi? And one of the things that I've done is I set up a Taffy endpoint to trigger a check to see if there's any files in there that are older than, say, 15 minutes. And then I run a bat file that uses rclone. When I discovered rclone as an executable, I was pretty amazed. This thing will move anything, anywhere. It'll transfer, it'll sync, it'll copy, it'll delete. It's got a lot of logic built into it. So right now I'm offloading all of that transfer of multiple gig size files to Wasabi S3 using rclone in the background. And I'm not even waiting for it to return, because if the files are still there for some reason, it'll pick it up the next time around, or I'll get an error message. But no error messages, no downtime, and nobody's waiting, and it happens all in the background invisibly.
Wow.
Nobody's waiting.
Wow. So what pitfall should ColdFusion developers avoid when using CFExecute?
Well, I think with anything, you're going to be working with files or working with user input. I think probably one of the most important things is sanitizing those inputs. I know that working with CF document or XML or deserializing JSON with the ColdFusion world, there's been a lot of threats. There's been a lot of exploits. I don't know how many of those exploits exist with the command line programs, but those developers are on it because they do one thing and they do one thing really well. And if it's happening, they're made aware of it and they issue updates like immediately. They don't wait. I don't have to wait till another ColdFusion version comes out in order for a bug or security fix. They're usually like on it real quick. But if there was one thing I was worried about recently, it was CFExecute. CFExecute had a thing that if you had an image and you were converting it to something bad could happen if somebody uploaded a fake file. But they added a header check. But if you're not using it, you don't have that security aspect. But the most important thing is to be explicit. And yeah, these are my mantras. I'm going to be doing this in my presentation, but be explicit and trust but verify. And then throw that into the command line and just see what happens.
Nice. So how can people follow your work or connect with you after this event?
Oh, nice. I used to be on Tumblr. I used to be on dev.to. I'm abandoning all of that. Third-party blogs. I've taken my destiny into my own hands, and I've launched a new website resource called mycfml.com. I don't know where this website was in the past, but we're trying to get it into the search engines. For some reason, we're like blocked, and I'm legit. I've got good stuff. We're looking at all the stuff that was blocked, so I'm not really in the search engines yet, and it's not my fault because, you know, for the past 30 years, I've been developing highly search engine optimized websites, and mycfml is one of those, but it's not. But mycfml.com, and I can also be found on Twitter at x.com/gamesover. Games over. I'm a little phonetically challenged as well as hard of hearing. Somebody yelled "game's over" one time, and I thought they were yelling James Moberg. So it's a little phonetic rhyme. Maybe that'll help you remember. But on Twitter, I'm Games Over.
Thank you, James. Thanks for your time.